Alrighty, let me see about adjusting this slightly. Nope, nope, down. Okay, almost. Where's the dog? How do I turn it further? Oh, there she is. There's the Jessie. There's a good girl. Oh my gosh, she's so sweet. Yeah, so I'm uploading my well, I just got done uploading another video. Um, I think this is gonna be I'm a gardener 3. Finally finishing the thought and getting it out of the way. Actually talking about it. And I think next video will be I have superpowers. Yeah. So I've got 15 minutes, which gives me a good window to work with. Let me turn this thing a bit further this way. There we go. That's better. Yeah. Let's try. Let me try. Take this thing off and then pivot it. Sorry, this thing is pretty cool, but I'm like learning the tricks. Okay, cool. You can see Jessi. Perfect. Oh, a little bit cattywampus. There we go. That's a good shot. All right. She's right there. All right. Oh, oh. Come on. There we go. And then this. There we go. How about that? Try and get comfy while we're at it. There we go. It's not terrible. All right. So, yep, not cutting any of that. That's just going in. Um, so yeah, I'm a gardener. Why is that such an important part for me? Make sure that this fan's not going to be messing with your audio real quick. 1 second. We'll turn that off right now. It's a little bit warm in here right now. It's crazy how you get used to being cold and 72, 74-ish can feel a little warm. So I'm here with Jessi. She's my baby girl. She's very, very good right now. But I was thinking about, like Adam and Eve, and in Genesis in the Bible. I wouldn't consider myself to be a Christian, but I do love Christian mysticism. I like that word for Christianity and other belief systems, mysticism, belief systems, um, lore, because it's a story that for some people is real, and for others, it's metaphorical, and for some, it's both, which complicates things. Because I've noticed humans. I'm not. I've struggled this my entire life, most of my life, but humans have a hard time with paradox, the concept and the idea and the functionality of paradox. But I've learned recently to embrace paradox. It's one of my favorite words. I'd say my favorite word is magic. And if you look up there, one of these days I'll show y'all. But it's a tapestry, and it's a bunch of mushrooms, and it says I'll just say it says fucking magical on it, and it's awesome. It's nothing fancy, but one of my best friends back in Vegas, she and her awesome boyfriend, fiance. All I know is those two are destined to be together. Those two are awesome. But they were like them. I have a couple friends. I have a couple friends, like a couple friends who are couples, and then I luckily with these two, I'm friends with both. I've but they're like you meet some people and you're like, oh yeah, that's couple goals. And I'd say for me, as far as like, there's in my head, right off the top of my head, there's 3 examples I have. There's Mrs. Pearlmania and her husband. There is Lindsay DeFranco, and there's Izzy Rowland and their partners. Those three have nailed it. Like, one of my things is I'm a gardener. Like I said, I keep reiterating this, and when I mean that is, you always hear people talk about what the original or the first profession was, and they'll say it's prostitution, but they're wrong. They're so wrong. If there's one first profession, it's parent. Like, if you go all the way back, like everything. But then some creatures don't parent. Okay, so it's not parent. And then you go a little bit further, kind of like human-oriented direction, and you say, what's the first profession? You think, okay, what did humans first do? If you take the Bible literally or metaphorically, but you take it at face value, take it as what it says is true, if you take Genesis as what it says is true, then the first job, the first profession, if you wait until parent because they didn't have kids until later, the first profession they were given by God was gardener. They were in paradise. They were in this beautiful utopia. They called it Eden. It is perfect. It was perfect. And it was a garden. It was already prepared. It had all the food, all the water they could need. It had sunshine. It had shelter because of the trees, and the animals were all friends with each other. So it was safe. And so they all spoke a common language before the fall of the tower, before all this other nonsense, that later goes on in the Bible. But nonsense as I'm not saying the stuff is nonsense. I'm saying it's nonsense as in a lot happened. In between, in the Genesis is packed. It's like you have to like take a phrase to represent. It could represent a day all the way to billions of years, depending on perspective. Or instance, it could be instant. Like, from perspective, like if you think of the Big Bang happening all at once, or if you think that of the Big Bang as still happening, you get a different perspective. Like, if it all happened all at once, then we're all frozen in time. There is no such thing as time, and we're stationary. But if it's happening still, then there is time, and we're moving forward, and we can't go back. But at the same time, we've shown that with different types of particle experiments and light experiments and lasers and stuff like that, that they can do a lot that looks a lot like going backwards. And it's just like, so if we can go backwards, but like not much, like it's like a microsecond, still, it's not forward. It's not just standing in one spot anymore. It's backwards. That's a new direction as far as time is considered. But space-time isn't, from my perspective, it's not a line. It's a cube. It's a tesseract. It's a cube within a cube. It's a infinite. Life is paradox. Life is fractals. Life isn't black and white, and it's not even gray. It's fractals of infinity. It's fractals upon fractals, and it's 3-dimensional. You see fractals on a screen, and you're seeing a 2-dimensional representation of a fractal, not the fractal itself. That's what is happening in real life. That is time. That is space. That is neurodivergence. That is identity. That is sexuality. That is gender. That is what is a person, and what does a person do, and all of that isn't like the word spectrum works, but it's not the full picture. It's not 2-dimensional. It's not even 3-dimensional. Really, it's infinite dimensional, whatever that word is, omnidimensional, because everything is everywhere, all at once. That is one of my top 5 for sure favorite movies of all time. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. But the first profession, if you take the Bible's perspective on it, was gardener. That's it. Gardener. And if we take that and move forward, then the first sin wasn't what they say it was. I don't think that a person picking a fruit from their own garden that they helped develop is a sin, because my father has been lately talking about different parts of the Bible, and he and I fundamentally disagree on a few things, but he has this weird perspective. His perspective on the word "take" and how it's used in the Bible, and he uses it multiple times, and it's not the Bible uses it multiple times, but it's got different meanings. It's a different word. The word "take" can mean different things. So taking a fruit from a tree is what you're supposed to do. Trees offer fruit. It's not stealing, it's an offering. Just like people coming to America aren't invading, they're visiting, or they're migrating, immigrating. They are becoming, and we don't want people to lose who they are in the process. We want people to, because think about it. Let's just take I'm a white guy, right? Let's take that. Let's take Irish Americans. Let's take Italian Americans. Let's take Jewish Americans. Let's take Polish and German, and all these people could be matched with me in some regard, right? But they're not from the same cultures. It's not about skin tone, it's about culture. They're from different parts of the world. They're from places with different histories. They're from places that were enemies at points and are allies at others in history. Like, it's different cultures. It's not about skin tone. It's about culture. And that's why I think it should be about with the fact that we're gardeners first. We're gardeners. And what do gardeners do? They trim back they pull weeds, they trim, and they prune, and they guide. They're a gentle hand. They're not you can, with I love like topiary design and all that kind of thing. Everybody who's seen Alice in Wonderland, I'm just saying, if you like that kind of fantasy, then you gotta love topiary. It's just part of it. It's part of, it's just like, if you like dragons, part of you likes swords. It's just, I might not be a sword guy. I'm a dragon guy, but I get sword guys, but with all of this, like, we're gardeners, and we are supposed to guide this planet. We're supposed to be the gardeners of this planet. We're not the owners of this planet. We're co-inhabitants of this planet. This spaceship Earth. This heaven on earth, because we are in the kingdom of heaven as we speak, not hell on earth. This place, like, I particularly believe where I am in Maine, not Maine in general. I love Maine. Maine is heaven too, but my spot, which is why I'm trying to keep a little bit low key before I ask my boss about being a bit more open about the kennel, but I want to keep this spot paradise. This place I am now is truly paradise. It's literally opposite of Vegas, which, not to say anything about Vegas, is I love Las Vegas. It is and will always be one of my homes. It was the first place that I was truly myself, by myself. And then I got to see a version of myself again down the line, and that version had family there. So I got to see this place from their perspective and my perspective, and how we differed, and how much I loved this place when the people around me didn't. But this place, oh no, this place is perfect. Nobody can come to where I am and not call it heaven on earth and not call it paradise. I I would even hesitate to say this place could be a modern interpretation of Eden, but that might be taking it a little far. But it for me is.